each and every game, but they're doing it on defense. Defensive end Everson Griffin is having a career year. Harrison Smith, will watch him today. This Vikings team got its hands full, though, with this Detroit offense today, Chris.
The Lions won the toss. Jim Caldwell watched the football, and the way his quarterback has been going, certainly understandable. Jeremy Ross back to receive and ready to kick off for the Vikings. Blair Walsh. They met earlier this season. It was a low-scoring game. Stafford and the Lions won that 17-3. The defense dominated for Detroit. It was a rough game for Teddy Bridgewater. And the Lions aware of the Packer loss in Buffalo. This game is happening week 15 at Ford Field. And leaving everybody off. Touchback, end zone. Starting on offense over the last 2 games, Stafford almost 76% of his passes completed for over 700 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
As we mentioned in that open, Calvin Johnson has had 2 huge days in those games, 250 yards plus in each of them. I would not be shocked to see Minnesota throw a lot of double teams at him today.
Both teams coming off back-to-back victories. Rhodes lining up against Calvin Johnson. Will follow him all over the field today. Hand off, Theo Riddick in the backfield. Leading rusher for this team is Joyke Bell. In fact, he has over 660 yards. He's one of the top rushers who has yet to have a 100-yard game this season.
Well, there's one weakness on this team. It has been running the football. Although late in games, they've been able to get some drives with the running game. This front 4, or this front 5 of this Lions offensive line is going to have a tough day with this front 4. We're going to watch that matchup at left tackle and Everson Griffin right in there for Minnesota.
They run it to Bell, who stays on his feet up to the 28-yard line against a Viking defense that has Shamar Stefan starting for Sharif Floyd. Of course, Everson Griffin, whom you mentioned, with 12 sacks, having a Pro Bowl season.
We'll see him get after the rusher today. He's like an Energizer bunny, man. He never stops going. Gerald Hodges there in place of the injured Barr at outside linebacker in this secondary. We'll watch Xavier Rhodes follow Calvin Johnson all day today.
On 3rd down and 2, Stafford to Golden Tate, and Tate is stopped short of the first down. Leading receiver on this Lions team is Andrew Sandejo, starting for the injured Robert Blanton, made the stop. Tate, a guy who called this game a must-win regardless of what the Packers are doing. Of course, after this, it's the last home game of the regular season of this year for this Lions team. Marcus Sherrill's back to receive from Sam Martin. We have a whistle here.
We'll replay the previous play as the officials weren't set prior to the snap.
Pete Morelli, principal of a high school in Stockton, California. His crew calling the 5th fewest penalties of all the NFL crews this season. So just replaying. The crew was not ready on the snap of the football. Marcus Sherrills was ready. So was Sam Martin on 4th and 1. And a better kick from Martin. Sherrills from the 15 inside of that. And has blockers, gets outside. Marcus Sherrills spinning up near midfield.
Had that little ghost return, that fake on the end around there, kind of got Detroit committed to this side of the field. Marcus Sherrills, we know, has some outstanding speed. 1 or 2 blocks away from taking this thing to the house, Chris. It's a very fast start for Minnesota.
A local Viking from Rochester, Minnesota, sets up the underdog Vikings, who are looking for their first win in the NFC North Division this year, an 0-4 record. Remember, they started out 2-5, but now 6-7. And Teddy Bridgewater has been the inspiration on offense. Matt Asiata gets the carry and plows straight ahead into Lions territory. Bridgewater making his 10th start as a pro and leads all rookie quarterbacks this season in victories.
We saw this guy's first start. We've seen his 10th start. Get some tempo here at the line of scrimmage. See if they can get him off to a fast start in this football game against this tough defense.
Quick pass out to Matt Asiata, who plows into the corner and shoves Darius Slay back. And it looks to be good enough for a Viking first down. You've already heard Matt Asiata's name mentioned. Charles Johnson, the former 7th-round pick of the Packers, has emerged as the top receiver. And the offensive line, Vladimir Dukas starting for Charlie Johnson, the left guard, who's out with an injured ankle. Bridgewater's pass to Jarius Wright, incomplete. And this defense of the Lions allowing 17 points a game on average. That's the fewest in the league.
Well, this front four, as everybody knows, is a dominant unit, starting with number 90 there, and Ndamukong Suh. And these linebackers in secondary are helped greatly by the pressure that those 4 guys put up front.
It'll be second down 10. Matt Asiata, bottom of your screen as a receiver. Empty backfield for Bridgewater. Extra pressure coming. It's picked up, and his throw is on target and couldn't hold on. Charles Johnson, who in the last 5 games has led the team in receiving yards.
Darius Slay actually sticking with that, fighting for that incompletion there. That ball looked to be completed. You know, the last time these two teams played, the first drive on offense for Minnesota, they went all the way down the field, had a chance in the red zone, and Teddy threw an interception. See if he gets something going here on this 3rd and long.
Bridgewater on the move. Flips to Matt Asiata, who will pick up yardage inside the 35-yard line. It'll make it more of a field goal opportunity if the Vikings opt to go in that direction. Let's see if they're bringing out the punter. Or no, it is Blair Walsh, who in pregame warm-ups, Ronnie, we were watching, made a 70-yard field goal. Of course, the Lions, the only team that plays their home games in the NFC North indoors this year because the Vikings are waiting for their new stadium to be built. This will be a 53-yard try. And he misses to the right. Not good. Blair Walsh, who has a season-long 55-yarder, but nothing here.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Back at Ford Field, an excellent field position. Buffalo knocked off the Packers. Lions with a win will lead the division in the NFC North. Open but high for Jeremy Ross. It will be second down. Aaron Rodgers, that game in Buffalo, first time in his career he had no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And the Lions fans know that the only home loss their team has had this year, Ronnie, and you were here to call it, was when the Bills came to town and the field goal problems cost Detroit that game.
This Lions team's come a long way since that game, Chris. Matthew Stafford, we'll talk about how he's developed in this offense some today.
Reggie Bush checks in a running back. Golden Tate in motion. Reggie the handoff. And trying to get outside. Will get run out of bounds by Harrison Smith.
You know, this Vikings defense does such a good job, much like Detroit's defense, rallying to the ball. They have such good athletes on the back end of this defense. Harrison Smith, that we mentioned in the open, having a great year. When they get hats to the ball, they are about as formidable as anybody.
Facing third down from their own 45-yard line.
Listen! Hey, stay this, tack 52. 4 down, stay it, tack 50, ready? Straight back, rolling. 280, yes, Listen!
Backpedaling, but the strongest arm in the league, and he throws it out of bounds. And knocked down is Matthew Stafford. The pressure was on from one of the backup defensive linemen.
Minnesota does this as good as anybody. You see these guys sitting up in the A-gap, mugging in the A-gap, trying to confuse the looks, and a lot of times they'll drop out of there, but they bring enough pressure. And Matt Stafford, who had one-on-one coverage out there with Xavier Rhodes on Calvin Johnson, just doesn't have time to get the ball out.
Sam Martin trots back out to the 31. Stafford 1 out of 3 in the early going as Sherrills is back. Had an excellent return last time to set up a field goal try that was missed by the Vikings. Fair catch called for at the 10-yard line. Viking defense digging in early. We're scoreless in the opening quarter.
Today's game is sponsored by Budweiser, America's smoothest lager.
Getting closer to Christmas, and this Lion defense has the Detroit team closer to the playoffs. Number 1 against the run. Ben Tate carries for Minnesota. Here's a flag down as he gets up across the 12-yard line.
Defense, offside, number 90, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
And Ndamukong Suh, who missed his first NFL practice this week due to a health issue, and he was battling a little flu-type bug as well.
Yeah, there was a number of guys on this Lions team that had the flu. Suh, James Ahedebo missing time. Obviously, you mentioned quarterback as well.
First and 5 from the 15 of Minnesota. Bridgewater, middle of the field, open. Hit hauled in by Kyle Rudolph, who gets up across the 35-yard line. Rudolph, who missed 6 games with hernia surgery, but has played in the last 4, just now kind of getting up to full speed.
Well, anybody that's had a hernia surgery knows how long those things take to heal and come back from. He actually told me a couple of weeks ago they went in on the one hernia and found out that the other one had to be affected too. So
2 hernias?
both sides.
What's worse than 1 hernia? 2 hernias. 21-yard gain up to the 36 is where it's spotted. Ben Tate remains the back, and Tate gets the carry. Tate claimed on waivers from the Browns on November 19th. He actually played against Carolina at the end of the month. A second-round pick originally of the Texans. He missed his rookie season, but had over 900 yards in 2011 and averaged almost 5.5 a carry. And of course, with Jerick McKinnon injured and out for the year, and Adrian Peterson gone from week 1 and now gone until next year after his appeal was not overturned. They turn to Tate. Bridgewater slips a tackle and then goes down. George Johnson with his 6th sack. Darrell tapped in afterwards.
Well, the thing that this defense does better than anybody is affect the quarterback with 4 rushers. That's all they usually have to rush to get to the quarterback. They don't blitz that often because they don't have to. And George Johnson is having a great year here in Detroit. Doesn't get credit for that sack, but he was the pressure that caused it.
He made it happen. 8 sacks again, worth repeating because the Vikings said we don't want that to happen again. That was back in October when the Lions won that game 17-3. Now 3rd and 21. They're just going to run it with Tate. Trying to make room for the punter, Jeff Locke.
We'll talk about Matt Khalil all day in this matchup at left tackle. George Johnson got him that time. Ziggy Ansah, who's the normal right end, will get his chance at him too. He's had a little bit of struggles all year long. See if they make some moves and try to help him out a little bit.
High snap. Jeff Locke still got it away despite pressure. And Jeremy Ross from the 18, straight ahead, up across the 32-yard line. Excellent return. The Lion offense is yet to get going. But good field position. They can take advantage after the high snap and the healthy punt return by Ross.
Today's game is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving.
Troy Bell in the backfield. Scoreless here in the opening quarter from the 32 on first down. Stafford from the pocket for Calvin Johnson. 3 Vikings in the area of the pass out of bounds. And one of the matchups we'll be watching, of course, he'll always have help. Xavier Rhodes, the right corner primarily, as there is a injured player slow to get up, is Rhodes, who is assigned to Calvin Johnson with help.
Well, Coach Mike Zimmer told us that this matchup would be the premium one of the day. And you said it, Xavier Rhodes is usually just a right corner, but because of the size difference between Calvin Johnson and Captain Munnerlyn and Josh Robinson, you've got to put this guy on. He's having a great year so far this season.
And headed to the Vikings sideline, Josh Robinson, number 21, will come in over at that spot. Captain Munnerlyn, of course, the other corner. Remember, they're already down Robert Blanton, the safety. One of those 4 starters we mentioned not playing today.
Josh Robinson, who comes in the game now, has struggled some this year, especially covering some big wide receivers. We'll see if Detroit here, when Calvin comes back in the game, takes some shots at number 21 over there.
After all that, 2nd and 10, Reggie Bush checks in at running back. Quick pass to Golden Tate. It's a block. Here comes a flag, and he's brought down at the 35-yard line. Golden Tate, career high.
Holding. Number 12, offense. 10-yard penalty remains for 2nd down.
Career high in catches and yards for Golden Tate, who takes pride in never being tackled by the first defender, at least in his words. But the penalty on Jeremy Ross wipes out a minimal gain, and a sluggish start for this Lions offense that we talked about came in here clicking.
He came down, looking at Xavier Rhodes here, he came down on that incompletion to Calvin Johnson. See, he's got that brace on already. He had a problem with his wrist. They're just solidifying that back up, I think, Chris.
On 2nd and 20, Stafford completes to Bell, but brought down right away by Gerald Hodges. He's playing for Anthony Barr. Hodges had the interception return for a touchdown last week. You can play with one arm, can't you, DB? You did a few times.
I don't know if you want to play with one arm against this guy. Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing there. It's probably the pre-existing injury getting aggravated a little bit. He'll get back into this football game. They need him on big number 81 down there. He is a matchup problem for the other 3 corners on this football team.
6 defensive backs in on 3rd and 15. You see just a 3-man rush. Stafford with the screen to Reggie Bush. And Reggie went to the 37, but short of the first down. 3 possessions in the Lions have yet to move the football and threaten to score after coming in the last couple of weeks by the exact 34-17 victory margin.
Well, this is setting up already, Chris, as a defensive struggle, and both of these teams have won this year, especially the Vikings recently, by playing great defense.
Sam Clark's been busy. Marcus Sherrill's fair catch right at the 15-yard line of Minnesota. Just under 5.5 to play. Scoreless here at Ford Field. Saturday, the UFC returns to Fox Sports 1, an all-time great matchup, and then one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world will battle as the action starts 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Matt Asiata back in at running back. 1 first down in their 2 possessions for Minnesota. It's been 3 and out for Detroit. Bridgewater to Charles Johnson. He's got room after slipping an ankle tackle and gets up across the 36-yard line. He has been the go-to guy since they acquired him for Bridgewater.
Well, he's a great route runner. He has excellent speed. He's one of these guys, small school, that slips through the cracks, and he went to Green Bay last year as a rookie and got hurt, so he just kind of slipped under the radar. And when they brought him in here, it was very evident early that he was going to be a playmaking type receiver for them. He's been exactly that.
He was with the Browns. That's where Scott Turner and North Turner and the Viking staff saw him, from Grand Valley State and from Kentucky. As Bridgewater throws, and completes. Of course, they're watching in Louisville on our Fox affiliate there, the college where Teddy Bridgewater made a name for himself as he connects again with Johnson.
Well, there's definitely a rapport going on between these two players, and since Charles Johnson has emerged as a go-to type receiver for Teddy, I think his development is increased. You know, Coach Zimmer told us it's all about the development of Teddy. And when you put some good weapons around him, it only makes it easier.
Matt Asiata to the top of your screen as a receiver. Empty backfield for Bridgewater. He's only 22 years old. Asiata has the football, juggling, but fighting for the first down near midfield.
I think we're seeing what North Turner is going to do in this football game for Teddy Bridgewater, and that's just get the ball out of his hands. Spread them out, try to nullify some of that pass rush, get the ball out to his playmakers' hands, and Matt Asiata has done a great job. We all know North Turner sitting right there in the booth. Son Scott's on the sideline calling the plays into Teddy.
North said that it's not just getting the ball out quick. Teddy has to read the defense quickly pre-snap, and that has helped. And there is quarterback coach Scott Turner, who delivers the play into the helmet of Bridgewater. Underneath to Rudolph, his second catch of the game, and he's run out of bounds by Rasheem Mathis.
You know, since the last time these two teams played, if you're Detroit, obviously, you know that the last game, 8 sacks. Teddy had 3 interceptions. He's come so far in his development, and a lot of it's the decision-making. That time, he's looking down the field, but he knew that he had his outlet underneath, and he got rid of the ball to the right person, not trying to force the ball. He's impressive, Chris, and continues to show why.
Completing 62% of his passes. Matt Asiata in the backfield here, and the play clock running down. Just in time, Asiata the football, and Powers for a first down. This is the #1 run defense. The Lions only allow 63 yards a game on the ground.
You can tell that they're going to try to commit to this running game, and I don't know if I've ever seen Matt Asiata run this hard. This is about the 3rd time he has powered through a tackler and got extra yardage. And we know James Ahedebo, he's a striker. He took the brunt of that hit.
Matt Asiata was supposed to be the blocking back for Adrian Peterson, then Jerick McKinnon, then maybe Ben Tate. He's carried the load for this Viking team. After a run of 9 yards, it's first down. Bridgewater, it's Jennings turning, and yeah, he caught the ball, twisting and turning.
Whoa, what a catch that was. That ball should have gone up to the inside shoulder of Greg Jennings, but Teddy slung it out to the sideline, and I'm telling you, man, that is a heck of a catch. They can review that if they want. That's going to be a
challenge
catch.
I think we're going to get from Jim Caldwell.
Detroit is challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass. The pass was not complete. Timeout.
Jim Caldwell 1 for 1 in his challenges as head coach of Detroit. So ruled a catch on the field. Challenge by Detroit. Ruled a catch on the field. Challenged by the Lions, and Pete Morelli has had another look. It looks like a catch.
Oh, it's definitely a catch. You see the one.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a catch. Detroit will be charged a timeout and a challenge.
Yeah, we looked at it. That left foot was the one in question. And Greg Jennings, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he drugged that thing. You'll see it right there. You see him drag that left foot. He's got clear possession of the football. Good call by that back judge, man. That was a tough completion to confirm.
A 26-yard gain. Bridgewater on first down, rolling, pressured, high, but caught by Chase Ford.
And we talk about Matt Stafford and how he completed 75% of his balls the last 2 games. Teddy Bridgewater has done about the same. 71% 2 weeks ago against Carolina, 70% against the Jets last week. He's as efficient for this Vikings offense recently.
On this drive, he's 6 out of 6, down to the 5-yard line. Receivers split out to the left side of the quarterback, and that's Jarius Wright in motion, moving to the right. Top portion of your screen. The run to Matt Asiata, who's powered his way through this first quarter and gets a first down. It'll be first and goal for the Vikings. Scott Turner has talked about the maturity of Teddy Bridgewater from the opening bell when he was forced to start. Started 13 games in college and said, don't worry, you can handle, there's no rookie wall. 13 starts in the NFL, and that's what it'll be. It's his 10th start today as a pro. As the first quarter is winding down. Bridgewater, not a lot going on, and wisely got rid of it. It'll be second and goal.
There's some maturity right there for you, Chris. Not trying to force a ball into the coverage. You're in the red zone. You obviously got points on the table right now. You just see it. You see the development. Little plays like that. That's something you can laud about a young guy. Extra lineman comes in, Austin Wentworth. Matt Asiata has 6 rushing touchdowns. It's Asiata and touchdown Vikings. They came in on that drive and pushed around a really good Lions defense all the way down the field. Teddy Bridgewater was efficient. Matt Asiata ran hard. We talk about it all the time, Chris. Good football teams run the ball down in the red zone, and nobody really does it better than this big number 44 for the Vikings. It's his first road touchdown, not just of this season, of his career. 10 touchdowns at home for Asiata. That makeshift offensive line against that outstanding Detroit defensive line is into the end zone. And the Lions, who have a chance to take over first place in the NFC North, are trailing the team that has yet to win a division game in the North this year. The undrafted free agent cut, worked at a warehouse by the Vikings, re-signed, was a special teams player. Last year had 44 carries the entire season. This year has been the workhorse for the Viking running game and has them out in front here 7-0 and checking the ankle of Matt Asiata. He'll have to have a big day today for Minnesota. You know, we'll probably see him and Ben Tate split the carries, and Joe Banyard will get a couple of carries here and there, but he's going to have to be the workhorse, like you said, Chris. Lions have not had a kickoff return for a touchdown this season as Ross downs it, so they'll take over at the 20-yard line. Let's head down to the field and Jennifer Hale.
Well, Chris, the Lions have certainly been battling more than one opponent this week. You mentioned that flu bug that struck several players, including Matt Stafford. Healthy players were wearing surgical masks toward the end of this week, trying to ward off germs. Now, I did speak to Stafford, and he told me he has spent as much time sleeping as possible between Friday and now. He also tried to sweat this one out and took a heavy regimen of vitamin C and vitamin B. But, Chris, he says he's feeling better, doesn't think it'll be an issue today. 3 possessions, 3 3-and-outs for Stafford, who sets to throw. Joey Bell, there's a flag down right away, but great blocking in front as Bell gets all the way up to midfield.
Holding, number 87. Offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
So it's going to come back on the call against Brandon Pettigrew, who, remember, last week missed a team meeting and did not start. Fourier is on the injured list, and Kellen Davis has been signed and is active, but Lions won't admit it. But Brandon Pettigrew, first-round draft pick, ultimately with only 10 catches, has been a major disappointment. And frustrated, I'm sure, on that call. It brings an end to the opening quarter. The Vikings lead 7-0. You're watching the NFL on Fox from Ford Field in Detroit. Xavier Rhodes back on the field for the Viking defense. The pass incomplete. That 29-yard gain wiped out by the Pettigrew holding penalty.
And it was definitely a penalty, Chris. You see him right here working on Brian Robinson, and doesn't look like much here, but then How about we try to suplex him or something? Definite hold.
Now that has the Lions at a 2nd and 20. Of course, Eric Ebron, the rookie tight end, drafted in the opening round for Detroit. The Lions hope can have an impact on this offense. Got a flag.
False start. Number 85 offense. 5-yard penalty remains. 2nd down.
That's the other tight end that we were talking about for Jim Caldwell's team, and they are one of the most penalized teams. They rank in the top 10. In fact, Detroit averages 9 penalties a game. As you look at the first quarter stats,
Up that no first downs in the first quarter. That's a pretty shocking stat for an offense that's been clicking on all cylinders these past couple of weeks, Chris.
and against a defense that's -3 starters. From his own end zone, dancing around with a nice flip from Stafford to Bell. And Bell works his way up across the 23-yard line. Oh, Matthew Stafford is fun to watch.
Well, you talk about quarterbacks finding ways to deliver the football, and we talk endlessly about his release point and everything else, but one thing that he does as good as anybody is create opportunities, and that's just pure genius.
A Brett Favre-like move to Bell, who seems to do it all for this Lions team. The gritty work.
Watch it.
On 3rd down and 8, Stafford's throw in the turn is where Calvin Johnson was, as Stafford went down and had to throw it early. Johnson has yet to catch a ball today.
Second target of the day, and Xavier Rhodes here on the bottom. It's always going to have help. You see Harrison Smith sitting over top of him. Give him a little bit of help, and really Matthew made a bad throw right there. Calvin had him beat there on the out. He just delivered a poor ball.
Rough start for the Lions offense. Give the Viking defense credit. Marcus Sherrill's fair catch and backs up at the 25-yard line on the punt from Sam Martin. With Stafford frustrated here at home as the Vikings lead and have the football.
This game is sponsored by Ford. Beautiful things happen when you go further.
Here in Detroit, moments ago, that's offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi, and you don't see this early in the game. That's the entire offense, the lineman, the running back, Stafford, and he was giving it to him. No first downs and a sluggish start for the Lion offense. Joe Banyard in at running back gets the football from Bridgewater and fights for 4 yards. And let's check in. Jennifer Hale was down there to kind of listen in.
Yeah, Chris, the basic message from Lombardi was that the Lions have got to pick up the pace and stop making stupid mistakes. He assured them, hey, this game is winnable. We can take this one, but not if you keep playing the way you're playing, Chris.
Lions have 4 penalties already. And Lombardi, yeah, he's, if you don't know, the grandson of the great coach Vince Lombardi. And Joe Lombardi's father told him, if you don't have to go into coaching, don't do it. But if it's in your blood, I don't know what to tell you. And he's obviously in coaching, coming over from the Saints' first year as the Lions offensive coordinator. Meanwhile, Bridgewater to Johnson is working as he's in Lion territory and outrunning the Lions secondary down to the 31.
Well, if they thought this Viking team sitting at 6 and 7 was going to be an easy test, they are sorely mistaken. Talked about it in the open, Chris. Coach Zimmer has this team believing that the future is so bright for these guys, and Teddy Bridgewater, look at him how tight that spiral is. Get it to his biggest playmaker on the year so far, Charles Johnson, and these Lions are sleepwalking a little bit right now, Chris. Johnson, this is a big game for them.
Had his first career 100-yard game against the Jets. Season-high 6 catches when he was playing at Chicago for this team in mid-November. Bridgewater throws high, and Rudolph catches it, slips a tackle. That's the kind of day it's been for the Detroit Lions, and the Vikings knocking on the door. It's got a game break. Check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, the 49ers breaking through the door. Frank Gore on 4th and 1. 10-yard touchdown. Just his 3rd of the season, but it's good enough to give the 49ers a lead in Seattle, 7-3 early in the second quarter. Chris, Rondé, and Jen.
The NFC West picture, and Seattle, the defending Super Bowl champs, looking up at Arizona. The Cardinals get in the playoffs as long as the Cowboys and Eagles don't tie tonight. 2nd down 3 after a big play from Rudolph. Here comes pressure. Rudolph blocking, Bridgewater rolling and keeping. Going out of bounds. Looks like he has enough, and he does, for another Viking first down.
This offense is really efficient right now. I mentioned earlier how Norv is calling this football game. You saw the quick passes earlier. You're starting to see some play action set up by some success in the run game. Teddy's just making great decisions there.
Bridgewater already. Norv Turner, 30 years in coaching. His son Scott, they were together in Cleveland. And Mike Zimmer, his first year as head coach in the NFL. Glad to have him run the offense because Zimmer calls all the defensive signals as the head coach. Matt Asiata carries. Bridgewater, 11 of 14 already, over 150 yards through the air. And, of course, you saw him run for the first time today for a first down.
Well, we know the story of the game last time these two teams played, and it was the pressure up front. There was a game, I think, November 23rd, Minnesota played Green Bay, and Teddy told us in our meeting with them yesterday that that was the game where he got comfortable playing as an NFL quarterback. And I'm telling you, the two games following that have been nothing but outstanding for him, and he's showcasing that again today.
Pass is caught. That's Jennings, who falls inside the 10. And looks like Jennings close enough for a first down. Lions Vikings week 6. This was in Minneapolis. Second career start for Bridgewater. 8 sacks for the Lions. Bridgewater suffered 3 interceptions. The Lions won that game 17-3. And Bridgewater told us that's the first thing Mike Zimmer Monday morning of this week came in and said, look, these are the things that happened in the last game. We haven't won a division game. These are things we have to correct and work on.
Well, that one was definitely ugly. It's making this one look so much better for these Vikings.
Bridgewater with a quick flip. End zone, touchdown Vikings! Greg Jennings.
Yeah, this is just a brilliant play here. Get them to commit up. Greg Jennings coming from the other side of the field on a little bootleg. I talked about the play action, being able to set up some of these quick passes. You'll see Greg Jennings, he's up there in the slot, comes behind the line of scrimmage. Just a really well-designed play against a defense that's aggressive. I'm telling you, this Vikings offense is putting it to the Detroit Lions right now.
The 11th touchdown pass for Teddy Bridgewater, and the Vikings lead 14-0. Here in Detroit, these Lion fans not trusting the Lions' 9-4 record, and Teddy Bridgewater happy. The underdog Vikings with a 14-0 lead. Vikings have been eliminated from the playoff picture. The Lions have a chance to win the division. In fact, with the Packers losing earlier today, a win by Detroit, and they'll take the top of the division. Remember, they beat Green Bay earlier in the year, and they'll finish the regular season at Green Bay against the Packers. Saturday college hoops, Syracuse and Villanova. You can catch it on Fox and always streaming live on Fox Sports Go. The Lions offense, they've yet to get a first down. Vikings have 12 first downs.
Ready, right, number 20, pass 54, we get ready, 54,
Bell, that's Reggie Bush, excuse me, with the handoff and a run up to the 25-yard line. The Lions have not run the ball well, but they've been able to get away with it with Stafford's big play and a strong defense. But they're in a hole here early, and the crowd has been taken out of it.
The crowd is completely out of this game. It's barely hear a murmur from the entire building. Now they need to get something going. See if they can get their wide receivers involved. Golden Tate, I think, needs to start get some targets here.
That's Joik Bell. Good enough for a first down. And if they get the ground game going, that should open things up for Calvin Johnson. Here comes the crowd.
There you go, first down. Now people are awake.
They're starved. Last playoff for the Lions, 2011. Remember, a wild card. Last division title, 1993. And, of course, one of those franchises, the Vikings have been to many, but the Lions have never been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
On first down, Stafford, that's Calvin Johnson's first catch of the game at the 35, a short game. He comes in with 3 100-yard receiving games since he returned from the injury. Remember, he missed 3 games with that ankle problem.
Well, he's definitely healthy. You could see when he's running routes down the field. You know, one way they're going to try to free this guy up, free Calvin up, is put him in the slot. Otherwise, he's going to have number 29 in white and purple in his face all day, as we see right here.
They run a bit of a reverse to Tate. The Vikings are ready for Tate, who usually energizes this offense more than any other player, at least when he gets the ball and makes a move early. Rhodes, who started out on Calvin Johnson that you were referring to, staying with the play.
Well, he's just playing, sitting there in a zone coverage, and Calvin Johnson's going up the block to safety. That was a great tackle. I'm telling you, I love this kid. I love watching him play. I've seen him develop over just the course of this season.
Or 6. BB. Wait it on! Hey, 52 and 96! Stay Ringo! Ringo!
On third down and 7, Stafford with time, and almost a one-handed grab. Corey Fuller incomplete, and there are no flags. And Josh Robinson was running with him.
Well, you saw there all the checking going on at the line of scrimmage. Minnesota gave that double-A look, trying to confuse them, make it look like it was going to be pressure. Matt Stafford pulled the tight end to Max Pro and then took a shot. But this Vikings defense, you know, if there's one game that we know they struggled, even though they won 17-3 last time they played, this Lions offense only had 250 yards, Chris. Looks like more of the same today.
Sam Martin's boot. Sherrill's the fair catch. Looks like it's at the 29-yard line of the Vikings. Minnesota has a 14-0 lead on the football.
Game is sponsored by Beats by Dr. Dre Solo 2. Show us your solo.
Here in the second quarter, and Ndamukong Suh, James Ahedebo, a couple of players that battled the flu during the week along with Stafford. In a battle with the Vikings, who lead here by a couple of touchdowns. On first down, Bridgewater throwing to right. And Jarius Wright brought down at the 35-yard line. DeAndre Levy making the stop.
You know, Chris, Detroit's going to have to start changing something on defense, maybe playing a little bit of more man coverage, because all they're doing with these little screens, these quick passes, they're extending the running game. And so instead of turning around and handing the ball off, they're just spreading them out, dinking and dunking them down the field. I mean, they'll take that 5-6 yard gain right there on first down. It's just too easy right now for Teddy and this offense.
Especially protecting the lead they have. Letting the clock run down. Bridgewater's throw to right. Jarius Wright right at midfield. And another Viking first down.
Just see the confidence in the way he's delivering the football right now, Chris. Obviously, offensive coordinator Norv Turner has confidence in him to do whatever this offense requires. You just see it. It's just making it look easy right now.
2-minute Teddy, or they like when he goes without a huddle. It gives him a little bit more of a rhythm as he hands off to Ben Tate. Fights hard to get down to the 46 of Detroit. It was interesting talking to Teddy Bridgewater, the first rounder. Growing up, he played receiver in high school, and he said his hero, his idol, was Calvin Johnson. That's somebody who had never met before today, and he wanted to be like Calvin Johnson, eventually becoming a quarterback. It was like, is there that big a difference in terms of the years of those guys? But Teddy just turned 22 this year. And, of course, Calvin Johnson, the 28-year-old receiver and 4-time Pro Bowler. On 2nd and 6. Bridgewater is going to go down. Jason Jones with the tackle. This was before the game, so he finally got to meet his hero.
Well, right now the idol worship, I guess, is the other way around. Calvin's sitting on the sideline watching Teddy Bridgewater methodically dissect a really good Detroit Lions defense right now.
A chance for the Lion defense to make a statement on 3rd down and 8 for the Vikings. Bridgewater unleashes it, and it's intercepted. Glover Quinn. Glover Quinn down to the 10 of the Vikings. That's a statement for the Lion defense.
They needed something good to happen and finally got a mistake by the rookie quarterback here. Teddy tried to force this football into his receiver on this outside breaking route, and he just overthrows him miserably, and you don't get many easier interceptions than that. Glover Quinn now with his 6th interception on the year. You know, you could talk about some of the other guys playing in that position in the league right now, but this year there's nobody better than Glover Quinn.
He had a terrific tipped interception last week, and remember, he had a big interception when the Lions rallied at home to beat the Saints and Drew Brees. Calvin Johnson, top of your screen. See if the Lions offense could take advantage as Bell waits for blockers and is knocked down around the 7-yard line.
They needed something to happen, Chris, and this defense, who's been doing it all year, it's now the 10th game in a row, or 11th game in a row that they've had an interception. And that offense wasn't doing anything, wasn't changing the field position. When you get a defense that's playing as good as this one, gives them an opportunity now.
The 11th straight with a pick, and that safety tandem has made quarterbacks feel sick. Stafford completes the pass, working his way in the end zone. Golden Tate.
And there's our guy, Golden Tate, having a career year. All you have to do, Chris, is get the ball in this guy's hands, and something good will happen. Sitting inside there, just a quick flash, little screen, got your blockers out front. And I'm telling you, nobody in the business puts their foot in the ground better than this guy. Get vertical for that touchdown. They needed something good to happen. Glover Quinn starts it on defense, and their number 1 player on offense finishes it for a touchdown there.
The extra point, it's a 14-7 game. Golden Tate leads all NFL receivers in yards after the catch. And he caught that one and took it 7 into the end zone for his 4th touchdown of the year. Last week to vote for the 2015 Pro Bowl, select the best players. Doesn't matter which conference. Chris Carter, Michael Irvin draft teams as alumni captains. Go to NFL.com/Pro Bowl ballot. The voting will end on Monday night. Golden Tate having a Pro Bowl season. So is Glover Quinn, who has some ideas about the Pro Bowl vote. You went through that, Rhonda. He thinks there should be a ballot with some nominees, much like the Oscars, the Academy Awards.
I like his ideas. It's an honor to go there. Too often now, it becomes a popularity contest, and guys like Glover Quinn don't get the opportunity to go.
The Lions safeties have been outstanding. James Hedabo and Glover Quinn, now a combined 10 interceptions, and one of the top duos in the league. And moments ago, they talked about,
in terms of production, there hasn't been any better duo than these two. Glover Quinn, a free agent last year, Hedabo, a free agent this year, really transformed that Lions secondary.
And that's a Lions record for safeties intercepting passes in a season already. Back to the offense with Matt Asiata. The Vikings trying to slow things down for Bridgewater, who played an excellent game up until his 9th interception of this season. In fact, of those 9 now, the Lions have 4 of those.
Well, he's unfazed with almost anything. It's almost hard to get a pulse on him when you're talking to him. He's so calm all the time, so he'll bounce back from that one.
Ford Field alive. Vikings by 7 now. Bridgewater through behind, and it's another pick. Darius Slay. They're going to rule that an interception on the field. It was close, but he dove to the turf here.
Well, maybe he won't get over it so quickly.
That's now 19 interceptions by this Lions team. They had 15 all of last year.
You saw Teddy right there pointing to his chest because that was a poorly thrown ball. And we'll take a look at that one, too. It skidding across the ground as he was making this catch. And to me, it looked like he had possession of it. The ball wasn't affected by the ground. So I think it'll hold up.
Frustration from Bridgewater.
We're going to review the previous play. Timeout.
Every turnover, changeover of possession is reviewed automatically. Vikings scored on a Matt Asiata touchdown run. On a pass from Bridgewater. Interception, and then moments ago, the touchdown by Golden Tate. That's where we are at 14-7, and this ruled an interception on the field. The pick by Darius Slay.
They're going to look at it and see if the ball moved as it hit the ground. To me, Darius Slay has control of that football, and it doesn't move when it touches the ground. So I think this will stay as an interception.
Our rules analyst, the original, Mike Pereira, watching at the home office at Fox. When he's not couch gating, he's watching all the games. And Mike, give us your bird's eye view of this.
Well, I'm sitting here on the red couch watching this, and I agree really with Rondé here because of the fact he gets control of the ball before the ball hits the ground. Now the issue is, does he maintain control of the ball? If the ball moves, that's okay. It's just, do the hands come off the ball? And I think since they ruled the interception here, if it's me, I'd leave it alone because he gets control, he's got it in his hands, tip of the ball touches, but that left hand still on the ball, right hand still on the ball. To me, I don't think there's enough that you would overturn this.
And Mike, as you were talking, the replay show it, he really does maintain control as he rolls through, and we continue to let the video play.
You know what? I like when we bring Mike on and he agrees with me.
So, all right, let's see if Pete Morelli agrees. That's the important thing for the Lions and Vikings here.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. It's an interception.
Thank you, Mike Pereira, for your insight. On target, as always. Teddy Bridgewater frustrated that he was off target. Rondé Barber correctly calling the interception as it stands. So 2 takeaways here. And the Lions with a chance to tie the game. 3 minutes to go before the half. Bell knocked down right away. An excellent tackle inside the 35 by Jasper Brinkley.
It's important now for this Vikings defense to stand up. Your offense was controlling the momentum of the game. You get back-to-back turnovers. They go in and score. And this Vikings team's been doing it all year on defense. They can make a statement here and get a stop and see if they're able to do it against this resurgent Lions team right now.
Corey Fuller checks in at receiver. Reggie Bush the back. That's Tate in motion. Pressure. Pass is complete. Nice move put on by Golden Tate. Down to the 24. Lions with 2 timeouts. The Vikings with all 3. Looks like Detroit will allow this to run down to the 2-minute warning, and it will be 3rd down and 2 for the Lions. 2 interceptions for the Detroit defense has set up the offense to try and tie this game. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to iTunes.com/NFL. With Rondé Barber, Chris Myers, Mike Pereira watching over this game and all the others for you. Glad you're watching the NFL on Fox from Ford Field. On 3rd down and 2 following the interception. Stafford to throw. Sideline caught. Good enough for the 1st down by Golden Tate.
Chris, this Minnesota Vikings defense inside of 2 minutes has only given up 1 touchdown all year. It's 2nd best in the NFL. They get an opportunity to prove that themselves right here. But Detroit, they continue to find ways to get the ball to that man right there, Golden Tate. He's lined up in the backfield now. A unique set here called by Joe Lombardi.
He has 4 catches and already a touchdown grab. From the 19, it's Tate again. Brought down at the 12. Golden Tate, who said he often was a running back in high school. I'm not out to prove people wrong. I'm just out to prove myself right every time.
And I think he used the word prove 15 times when he was talking about it, but he has done nothing but that. His numbers were muted somewhat in that offense in Seattle, but since he's come here, he's proven his worth as a wide receiver.
2nd and 4. Stafford low for Bell and incomplete. It'll be 3rd down. Stafford feeling the heat of that Viking pass rush. Coming up, the Visa halftime report. The story from Buffalo where the Packers lost. And that helps the Lions in their chase for the playoffs and the NFC North Division title. New England beat Miami. Cincinnati beat Manziel. For all the chatter about that, Browns are shut out.
Watch it.
Stafford with time and keeps. And is brought down inside the 10, loses the football out of bounds. Brian Robinson is trying to get out of his 5th sack of the year.
He comes a long, long way to make this tackle. He's all the way over here, and watch how far he has to chase Matt Stafford.
4th and 1.
Matthew Stafford.
And that's going to be 4th and 2. Lions debating here.
There's a heck of a play there by Brian Robinson. Yeah, they decide, I think you have to take the points here.
Well, they're going to let the clock run down.
Yeah, just let it run down. But again, this Vikings defense shows how formidable they can be by getting a stop there. As Detroit was trying to get into the red zone there.
Well, we've seen Mike Zimmer's team, no matter who's out there playing, dealing with injuries. They've been a tough out all season long, but this Lions team has a lot to play for. The fans in the opening quarter say, uh-oh, here we go again. It's in their nature. But when you have a defense like they have, it seems like you're always going to be in the hunt, not just for maybe a win, but maybe a playoff appearance.
You're absolutely always in the hunt. When your defense can create the plays that their defense has this year, the 2 interceptions, set up scoring opportunities for their offense, then yeah, you're never out of a football game. And one thing is interesting that Coach Caldwell told us is that the appetite for winning just continues to grow on this team.
29-yard try. Matt Prater cuts into the Viking lead. At one time it was 14-0. Now it's a 4-point difference.
Yeah, so no matter what the situation is, they know they have a chance.
Vikings will get the football in the second half to open it up. Right now, let's head to Los Angeles for the Visa halftime report.
It's game day. Can't get no better than this. We balling today. I'm telling you. In this league, nothing is given. Nothing takes everything. Showtime. What about the NFL on Fox? Go Lions! Yeah! Let's go Lions! Yeah!
Yeah, today's excitement brought to you by Nissan, and they are excited as the defense of the Detroit Lions got them back in it, trailing 14-0, couple of interceptions, and it's a 14-10 game. Lions getting ready to kick off to start the second half with Rondé Barber, Chris Myers enjoying the game here at Ford Field, and a lot at stake for the Lions, knocking on the door with the playoffs. Packers losing today. Certainly a win puts them in first place in the North. They have a chance to win a division, get into the postseason. Slow start for them, but their defense bailed them out.
Well, this is definitely a crucial football game. Golden Tate, you said it earlier in the game, said this is a must-win situation for the Lions, and it's because it's so tight in the NFC. The defense has affected this game here late in the second quarter. See if they can continue to do that and keep this kid, Teddy Bridgewater, a little rattled. He started off the game so steady, making it look easy, really, but then those 2 bad throws that resulted in interceptions got 10 points on the board for Detroit.
Matt Asiata, a touchdown run. Bridgewater to Jennings to make it 14-0. The interception, and then Golden Tate took a Stafford pass. And then after another interception by Slay, the field goal, and that's where we stand as Cordero Patterson gets ready to take Sam Martin's kick. Lions going for win number 10. Vikings trying to get to 500 for the season. It's the final home game for Detroit this year. And, of course, the Vikings winless in the division. Let's head down to the field, check in with Jennifer Hay.
Well, Chris, Coach Mike Zimmer sat Teddy Bridgewater down at halftime and had a heart-to-heart with him. Told him to keep doing what he's doing and not to get rattled. Coach told me the key for Teddy is playing with confidence. Meanwhile, Jim Caldwell applauded his defense's interceptions, but said it does not excuse the lack of offensive production. I asked him about the possibility of the flu affecting his team, and he says he doesn't think so, but I can tell you a lot of Lions players using oxygen early in this game. Quick injury note, Ashley Palmer battling a quad injury. He is now questionable, Chris.
Matt Asiata the back. 1st and 10 Vikings from the 20-yard line. Thanks, Jennifer. Remember, the Lions defense giving up only 17 points a game as Asiata carries, and already the Vikings with 14. And Minnesota, you can throw out the earlier meeting. Looks like Kyle Rudolph, he is slow to get up. You talked in the first half, Rondé, about the hernia surgery, missing 6 games. Also, Rashean Mathis in pain.
Kyle Rudolph not holding his hernia surgery. He's got his hold of his knee there.
I hope he wouldn't hold that. I just hope he's okay. When you're in pain, you're in pain.
You just see him get rolled up here.
That's
back of his leg after Mathis and Asiata coming in on that tackle.
Rhett Ellison, the blocking tight end, the backup, and of course Chase Ford, the receiving tight end, who was brought up from the practice squad earlier in the season. Mathis stays in the game as Rudolph walks over to the Vikings sideline after a gain of 6.
We had a good talk with Rashean Mathis on Friday. The one thing that struck us out of that conversation, like, he's aware of the history of the Lions. They know what they've been through, but they're not living in that past. And I thought it was a great perspective of where this Lions team is.
Bridgewater, Matt Asiata stopped short of the 30. And when I asked him about the past and Lion fans being skeptical despite the great season so far, he talked about, well, you can't do a lot about the past. He said, we're aware of the Lions history, but we can't live in it. And he thanked the fans for their loyalty as part of the new wave Lions here with Jim Caldwell in his first year and some of the additions. And already we've talked about the difference in the secondary. And a chance to win the NFC North. They're going to be on the road for their final 2 with Chicago and Green Bay, but wanted to get this one here. Matt Asiata, and fights hard to get the first down.
Little toss counter. There's the very unique play. You see the toss trying to get Detroit like they're going outside, but Matt Asiata today, he's been the workhorse. You said it earlier. It continues to be the case. Running hard, running through tackles. And that is a man running with a purpose, with some violence. And you see the touchdown that got them off to that quick start.
His only 100-yard career game came against the Lions in 2013. Carries here once again on first down. It'll seem like the Vikings want to make things just a little bit calmer for their rookie quarterback.
Like we said earlier, he was so confident, looked so confident those first couple of drives moving them down the field.
Were those just bad throws, or did you see a defensive adjustment by the Lions?
No, those were bad throws. Both interceptions. The second one has to go to the outside. He threw it to the inside interception. And the first one was just ill-advised. He completely overthrew his receiver, and Clover Quinn had the interception.
Bridgewater with a screen, juggled by Rhett Ellison. And DeAndre Levy there to make sure he didn't go anywhere.
Well, that play wasn't going anywhere. I know he juggled that and didn't catch it clean, but that Lions defense, since the middle of the second quarter or so, Chris, started to really fly around. You know, we talk about these guys, we talk about how good they are, and that guy can't get hurt. James Ahedebo, big emotional leader on this Lions defense, especially in their secondary.
Now 3rd down and 10. Abdul Kudus comes in for Ahedebo. Quick pass to Asiata, who takes Rashean Mathis with him. But it'll be 4th down, and Ndamukong Suh, you hear the fans putting some pressure.
He's excited about that. Well, watch him. See him right here. Rushing the quarterback, and this is what good defenses do. Turn, pursue, affect the play at the end, and man, put a whack on him.
Is having an outstanding year. 5.5 sacks, and of course a contract year for him.
You can have your opinions if you want to. He needs to be a Detroit Lion, Chris.
Jeremy Russ dancing around, goes down at the 15. An interesting sight before the game. Of course, Sue from Nebraska, and a guy with a lot of money. It's Warren Buffett, a Nebraska guy. I wonder what that would do to the salary cap if you had Warren Buffett on your roster.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Glad to have you watching with us as the Lions have just 89 yards of total offense. But the interceptions set up their defense, or I should say the defense set up the offense with a short field. That's how they have 10 points on the board. Eventually, it looks like he was trying to get the screen to Bell. Stafford now 9 out of 17 in the game so far.
Definitely have to give credit to this Vikings defense. And again, the one time that they struggled, mightily struggled in the game, was when they played these guys last time, and you're seeing more of the same. A lot of credit to Xavier Rhodes holding Calvin Johnson to just one catch so far in the day, and he wasn't even lined up on that target.
Tate with 5 catches. Asiata with 5 for Minnesota. There's Calvin Johnson, and he's got a first down across the 31-yard line of the Lions.
For most of the day, Xavier Rhodes has been lined up in his face, but you see, this is, you stack the receiver, you get the corner off of him, and you just bang in a nice little quick slant or quick post. We know how strong his arm is. That's a completion all day long.
A gain of 18. Calvin at the top of your screen at 1st and 10. Reggie Bush, and not Springer. Bush came in with an average of 3.5, coming off his most complete game for the first time in a couple of months. Has had injury problems this year.
It's kind of helped their running back situation, though. You get a guy like Theo Riddick, you know, it kind of advances his indoctrination into this offense because Reggie's been hurt. And Theo was productive when he was in the game. Joyke Bell, though, who's in the game now, he's the guy that needs to be the primary runner in this offense. He runs hard, he's physical. You can get that running game on track with him as a starter.
Bell gets the carry and gets tough yards. Well, he is a popular local favorite from Benton Harbor, Michigan, and Wayne State. In the first meeting, he had 74 yards rushing and a touchdown in that earlier victory when the Lions beat the Vikings. A good way of celebrating the holiday season and working in your favorite running back here in Detroit.
Yeah. Stand it.
On 3rd down and 3. The screen and a nice catch by Bell with plenty of blockers and room. Still moving inside the Viking 45.
It's about the 4th screen opportunity that the Lions have taken. The first one that works out for them. Whenever you see a back cross the formation, it's always going to be a screen. That was a heck of a one-handed grab there by Joyke Bell. Picked up some big yardage there.
31 catches this season, along with much of the ground game for the Lions. And he stays in after a healthy game. Nowhere to go on that play. Let's check in down on the field with Jennifer.
Well, Well, Chris, folks might not remember that Joique Bell and Reggie Bush were teammates back in New Orleans with the Saints. And Joique told me that's when he and Reggie got really close. He now looks at Reggie as one of his most important mentors and biggest supporters. He tells me he's over at the Bush household at least once a week. Those two are always competing at ping pong, darts, anything. And he says he owes a lot of his success to Reggie's tutelage and encouragement, Chris.
Well, Bell was a guy who hung around the Lions training camp and was waiting for an opportunity. One of the most grateful players to be in the NFL. Open. That's Golden Tate.
There was some definite confusion there in that Vikings secondary. He was so wide open. And you see them conversing about it now.
Well, Golden Tate coming over from Seattle, Super Bowl champs. We were talking about Reggie Bush moments ago. Won a Super Bowl title in New Orleans. They bring something to this Lions team with their own experience and their own past success that they just haven't had before.
Having those kind of guys and some coaches, too, that have had Super Bowl experience, I think has been a big difference in this football team.
3 tight ends. Kelvin Davis is in. Bell. And the Viking defense swarms to get him. Everson Griffin.
See Harrison Smith, look, you just could tell that they don't really know what's going on. There's no corner over on that side of the field. He just got misaligned. You know, this is a team that doesn't usually switch corners. You know, Xavier Rhodes plays right corner, Captain Munham plays left corner, but now that Xavier Rhodes is following around Calvin Johnson, you got to think that there was some confusion because of that new situation.
As Chet Collins in motion, the fullback. Bell in the backfield. 2nd and 8 in field goal range. Calvin Johnson cannot get away from Rhodes, but gets near the first down.
You know, he's such a big target. You know, 6'5" and 235 pounds or so. Yeah, why are you guys bringing this up? I know life isn't fair all the time.
That's when you played. And I look, it's tough enough when you cover. Of course, you're like 6'4" anyway, right? I kid because I care. And he leaps into the air. You have no shot.
Well,
what do you do then?
There's a reason you put the 6'1" Xavier Rhodes on him and the 5'9.5" Captain Munham on the other side of the field.
He did get the first down, and here goes Bell. And shoved backwards.
I'll have you know, I did not win many of those matchups.
I was going to let you tell that side of the story. Calvin is worried about winning the matchup today and getting the Lions to 10 wins. And they would take over. Remember, they beat the Packers earlier in the year. Of course, they'll play Green Bay to finish the regular season. A lot of excitement in the NFC playoff picture. Seattle at home trailing the 49ers in the third quarter.
Yeah, he's won.
Stafford with pressure gets it to Bell. Vikings swarming inside the 14-yard line. Mentioned the playoff picture. We have an injured player slow to get up, still laying in pain is Adrian Waddle, the right tackle.
Sponsored by Pizza Hut. We're taking pizza where it's never been before.
Well, Adrian Waddle, the right tackle, being helped onto the cart here in Detroit. Rookie Cornelius Lucas will step in. Fans are applauding that he is able to get up onto his own feet. We mentioned the NFC playoff picture, and certainly a lot could happen after this weekend. There are only 2 regular season weekends remaining. But the Panthers in the South, because they won today and the Falcons lost. The Saints play the Bears Monday night. See, the Lions, if they get their 10th win, those 2 teams would swap spots. Detroit would go in head-to-head advantage in the North, and Green Bay would be in the wild card. Seattle right now is trailing the 49ers 7-3 in the third quarter of that game in Seattle. Dallas plays the Eagles on Sunday night. A lot to be decided there, but what a job Jim Caldwell in his first year as head coach in Detroit has done to get the Lions to this point. 2 of 8 on third down. 12th play of the drive. Pass is caught by Tate, but knocked down right away. Sendejo from a safety spot with a big play on a guy who makes plays.
He looked like a bullet coming in to make that tackle, and we know how elusive Golden Tate can be in the open field. Sadejo coming just out of the right of your screen and get a really shifty guy on the ground. That's great team defense right there by Minnesota.
On to try a 30-yard field goal is Matt Prater. He made from 29 already today. And he got it, nailed it. 1-point game. Remember, the Vikings missed a long field goal. Right now it's 14-13. Vikings lead in the NFC North right now.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Game of War. Play free now.
Vikings and the Lions here in the NFC North. Those of you watching in Minneapolis on our Fox affiliate, Channel 9, Fox 2 here in Detroit. I know the Williams family is watching back in Minneapolis. The Delgado, big Viking fans in California. And the Lion fans watching, and those that are fortunate enough to be here at Ford Field. Seeing a good one. 0-4 in the division, but the Vikings going toe-to-toe with the upper half of the NFC North is Cordero Patterson. He stops short of the 17-yard line, a win for the Lions special teams. Longtime Detroit local news anchor Bill Bonds passed away yesterday. Born in Detroit, he lived in Southfield. A local legend, remembered by many here in Detroit. Viking tight end Kyle Rudolph back on the field. Minnesota now at one time a 14-0 lead. It's down to 1. Bridgewater on first down to Rudolph. He was alone and gets a first down up to the 30. Let's get a game break. Check in with Kurt Menefee. Kurt?
Well, Peyton Manning left the game in the first half with a thigh injury. He's come back in the second and looks like the old Peyton. Hooking up with Demaryius Thomas, 28-yard score. Denver leads at 16-3 in San Diego. A Bronco win. They clinch the AFC West. Chris, Rondé, Jen?
Thanks, Kurt. And there's a look at the AFC West standings. Kansas City a winner today to go to 8-6 over the Raiders. Keeping their playoff hopes, however slim, alive. Pass is high, but Charles Johnson caught it but couldn't run anywhere.
As good as Teddy was in the first half, Chris, since those 2 interceptions, he's been a little bit off. You know, he's definitely not a kid that rides the emotional roller coaster, but he's delivered some poor balls here his last couple of throws.
Started out 11 of 15, and then 2 interceptions. He's been below 500 since in terms of completion percentage in this game. On 2nd and 10. Completes. Jarius Wright gets a first down.
Got to give a lot of credit here today, Chris. This beat up, you know, different starters on the offensive line. Dukas happened to be in there. Mike Harris happened to play right tackle. We haven't said much about Ndamukong Suh so far today.
After a gain of 13, Matt Asiata on first down. Maybe a yard as the clock runs here late in the third quarter.
Offensive line coach
Jeff Davidson, former offensive coordinator.
He's had to work. If there's one area on this team where they've been just decimated, just struggled, it's been the health of this unit. But so far today, they've only given up 2 sacks. They've much improved, getting much better production out of them than I think some people would have anticipated.
Bridgewater has to throw in a hurry, and Charles Johnson back to the football. See where they spot it. It's going to be short of the first down, putting it right at midfield.
It's a really good throw there, actually. That ball was in the air. You throw from one hash to the other on a comeback to your wide receiver. You better be on the same page. It's a little bit of showing off his arm talent that he has.
Saw Glover Quinn trying to ignite the crowd here on a 3rd down and 2. They fake a high as Asiata takes the ball toward the first down marker. Take the high snap to Bridgewater, went right to Matt Asiata, and let's see, they're going to give him the first down. A creative play when they needed it.
Very, very unique. 3rd and 2. Your offense hasn't done much, and you run a direct snap sweep. See the block there by the tight end. Kind of sealed the edge there.
That is a first down with seconds remaining here in the 3rd. They just get the snap away. Bridgewater's got a lot of room to run, and he will slide near the 38-yard line. It'll bring an end to the 3rd quarter with the score. The Vikings 14, the Lions 13. With Rondé Barber, Chris Myers, our producer Mike Burks, director Michael Frank. You're watching the NFL on Fox. It's been a struggle for the hometown Lions. Their fans anxious to see their team get to a 10th win and a playoff spot. But the Vikings had the 14-0 lead and are holding on, leading by 1 after the 9-yard run by Bridgewater inside the 39 of Detroit. Joe Banyard in at running back. He has the football. He'll lose yardage. Shahir Whitehead.
We were just talking about how good this offensive line was playing, but right there, watch the penetration up front. It starts with Ndamukong Suh. Darryl Tapp in there. Whitehead shooting the gap. Big tackle for loss.
Now 3rd down and 3, and you're looking at a 59-yard field goal. Blair Walsh missed from 53 earlier today. Bridgewater has time and goes underneath to Rhett Ellison, who gets the first down and still going. Down to the 31-yard line of the Lions. What a big play for this Viking offense, and a smile from the rookie.
Well, I think when he delivered that ball, you assumed that they were going to be short of this first down. But Rhett Ellison, who does just about everything for this Minnesota Vikings offense, he's their best blocker. He comes up with a great play there, great effort play there to get the first down. Missed tackles. There's been a couple of them today on this Detroit Lions defense. None bigger than those 3 right there that allowed Rhett Ellison to get that first down.
A gain of 10. Banyard remains the back. Bridgewater is going to go down. Ndamukong Suh.
At some point, the running clock has to go off in your head. And Ndamukong Suh gets the sack on this, but look at the pressure all around him. Only 4 guys needed to rush most of the time, and that's why defense was covering up on the back end. There's nowhere for him to deliver that ball. Get another big play by Ndamukong Suh.
6.5 sacks for him this year from that inside defensive line position. 3 sacks in the game on Bridgewater. Now 2nd and 18, back at the 39 of the Lions. Bridgewater looked like he wanted to get up to the screen as a flag down, and incomplete.
Going to get a hold here, Chris.
Holding. Number 75, offense. 10-yard penalty remains, 2nd down.
You know, these screens are designed to happen a lot quicker than they did. And see it, Matt Khalil right there. You know, when this ball doesn't come out soon enough, Teddy holds it, and Ziggy Ansah's about to land on their quarterback, so we grabbed him.
That is the first penalty accepted against the Vikings today. But the Lions have pushed back Minnesota to midfield. Bridgewater wants a timeout. Second and 28. In a hurry, Bridgewater to Jarius Wright, and a Hannibal with some help as Wright gets inside the 35-yard line. It'll be third down, but it at least gives the Vikings hope of setting up a field goal if they don't get the first down.
That was a very big completion there, sitting at 2nd and 28. Really only trying to get half of that back and make it manageable. They did a good job early in the game getting the ball out of Teddy's hand quick. As they've settled into the drop back game, he hasn't been as effective. Let's see what they give him on third down here.
Need to get down to the 21 for a first down. Blitz coming. It's picked up. Bridgewater has room to run. And Teddy Bridgewater has a Viking first down. All the way down to the 18 of the Lions.
Lions decided to bring pressure, so you put guys in man-to-man coverage so their backs are to the quarterback. Good pick up there by Joe Banyard on the blitzing safety, and there's an escape lane for Teddy, and he took it and got a huge, huge first down.
He's run 3 times today for 30 yards, picked up 16 on that on third and long. Ben Tate in at running back from the Lions 18. Tate has it and fights to get inside the 16-yard line. 77 rushing yards for the Vikings today against the top run defense that has allowed just about 63 a game through the course of the season.
They've been some tough yards today too, Chris, and they've been important. Now, this Vikings offense, you said it at halftime, had already had more than the last time they played. They're doing it the hard way, especially in the running game, because it's not easy to run against this front seven of Detroit.
Middle of the field, caught. 2 Lions right there with him on the Kyle Rudolph catch near the first down marker. And they are going to give him the first down, so it'll be first and goal for the Vikings. At one time facing a 2nd and 28.
They see most of those yards by Teddy all on the scrambles, and 11 rushes by Asiata. They've been tough, man. 3.6 yards a carry. He's banging his head against anybody that comes through. And look at DeAndre Levy. Warrior look with that blood down his nose. It's that kind of game, Chris.
Ben Tate met hard over Quinn, who has an interception today coming up from his safety spot. It'll be 2nd and goal for the Vikings. 6 of the last 7 games for the Vikings have been decided by 8 points or less. They've been clinging to this 1-point lead with 9.5 to go here in Detroit, but threatening to get more. Bridgewater is thrown to the ground. Jason Jones from Southfield, Michigan.
Again, trying to get into this drop back game is tough sledding against this unit. They're so good with these big, tall defensive end getting around the corner. And if Teddy's not getting the ball out of his hands quick, he's under duress. 4 sacks now for these guys, and none bigger than that one puts them out of a realistic chance for a touchdown here.
On 3rd and goal, Bridgewater underneath the Matt Asiata. The Lions bottle him up, and it's 4th down.
It's a good stop there by the Detroit Lions defense. Teddy Bridgewater moved that offense all the way down the field, and you get in the red zone, these guys get real stiff. Get off the field and allow this field goal attempt.
Well, overcoming from midfield, 2nd and 28, 3rd and 13. Bridgewater at least sets them up for a field goal that can give them a 4-point lead. Blair Walsh missed from 53 today. This will be from 26. Oh, he did not get it through the uprights. And it looked like a block.
Yeah, somebody got a hand on that, Chris.
Not sure who broke through for the Lions. See an arm come up in the middle of that crowd.
It's somebody with the big net. Looks like Jason Jones.
Jason Jones, number 91, with a blocked field goal. Blair Walsh, who had trouble kicking last week, even though the Vikings were able to win. A blocked kick from Jason Jones, who also had the sack to push them back. George Wynn checks in. Stafford fakes to him and throws. Moving upfield is Eric Ebron across the 30. That's the first blocked field goal kick attempt by the Lions in some 39 games.
You'll see Jason Jones come into the picture right there in the middle of your screen, getting held, just gets his big mid up and deflects that kick.
And that deserves a wow.
Oh, wow.
It keeps it a 1-point game.
Yes, it does. That could be crucial here come the end of the game here. 2 sacks. He only came into this game with 3.
Bell with a lot of room. Joyce Bell, first down, still going, out of bounds across the 45. Now the Lions don't run the ball real well from a statistical standpoint, but in lengthy drives when they want to close out games, they have been effective in that department.
And it's because of this guy, these tough yards. He's had them all day long, Chris, and he got some good blocks on the edge there. You know, when they've settled on one back and given him the ball, I think they've been much more effective than when they've tried to split the carries between him, Reggie Bush, and Theo Riddick.
A 15-yard run for Bell. Lions would like to move into scoring range here as Stafford is pointing and throwing incomplete. He hit the yard marker. Brian Robinson was all over him.
And he got tagged here at the end of this play. Finding a way to create, you know he can do this and deliver the ball from any platform with his feet, but man, he took a hard hit there.
And if that was the target, the yard marker, he would have been right on it. 2nd and 10. Reggie Bush checks in. Stafford underneath and completes. And there goes Calvin Johnson down to the 30. As big as he is, it's like he came out of nowhere.
And they're continuing to find ways to get Calvin Johnson off of Xavier Rhodes, and they run a crossing pattern here. There's nobody there to help Xavier Rhodes, who looks like he's struggling a little bit, keeping up. Haven't called his name much today. When you need big plays, we know who's going to be the #1 target on this offense.
4th catch of the game, a 23-yard gain. Joyce Bell waits for blockers and fights hard to get down to the 26-yard line. And the clock running here.
Can't help but feel that as this game has gone on early in the game, we're wondering where the energy was of the pulse of this team was. But as it's gone on, they've gotten stronger on defense. They've created a bunch of turnovers. Minnesota just seems like they're wearing down a little bit here towards the latter part of this game.
Jim Caldwell's team cut back on the penalties. They had 4 in the first half. Haven't been called for any here. 2nd and 5. Bell inside the 20 has another first down. Matt Prater is 2 for 2 today. And Lion fans have erased all the field goal disaster that they had to deal with for the first half of the season. Cost them a home game with Buffalo. Bills beat the Packers today. Bell out of the 16-yard line.
This is what you're talking about, Chris. Towards the latter part of games, they have no problem seemingly running the football, whereas during earlier parts of the football game, they can't get it going. But you said it, they needed to close out games running the football, and they've done it a bunch of times this season. They're doing it again here on this drive.
We're at the 4-minute mark here in the fourth quarter on 2nd down 6.
Squeeze! Squeeze!
Pressure coming. Stafford unloads. Reggie Bush bobbles and is thrown down after the incompletion. And already this drive over 4 minutes. But they want points, regardless of the amount of time. Right now you're looking at a 33-yard field goal if the Lions gain nothing on 3rd down and 6. Spotted at the 15-yard line. Calvin Johnson to the bottom of your screen. Reggie Bush in the slot.
Subvert.
Stafford throws. Leaping, and he could not hold on. Jeremy Ross. And it's 4th down.
That was a big incompletion there. The Vikings had a double on Calvin Johnson. Had somebody rolling the top of Golden Tate. And he fired that ball in there. Jeremy Ross should have came down with this ball. Hit him right in the numbers.
We have a injured player. Minnesota Vikings Brian Robinson being checked on. Brian Robinson over on the Viking bench being tended to. This will be a 33-yard field goal try. Matt Prater, 3rd Lions kicker this season. A chance to give Detroit the lead for the first time today. Nailed it. He's 3 for 3. And the Lions, who once trailed 14-0, now have a 2-point lead over the Vikings.
Game is sponsored by Burger King. Mix and match 2 large premium sandwiches for just $5 only at Burger King.
Matt Prater, and who would have thought that on their way to their 10th win, if they can hang on, it would take Prater going 3 for 3. Still more than 3.5 minutes to go. Sam Martin kicking off. Cordero Patterson, who was stopped short of the 20 the last time he ran it out, is bringing this one up. And there goes Patterson. Breaking tackles. Cordero Patterson up to the 49-yard line. A return of 51 yards. And all the Vikings need is a field goal to take the lead. And their young quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, already has 3 comebacks in his career, including last week. After a 51-yard return, Lion fans are wondering why they didn't kick the ball through the end zone. Cordero Patterson sets up the Vikings near the 49-yard line. 2 timeouts for Bridgewater. He's on the run and has to get rid of it. And there's a flag down.
Holding. Number 62 offense. 10-yard penalty remains, 1st down.
Vladimir Dukas playing left guard, called for the penalty.
He's over here at top of your screen, and he's working on C.J. Mosley, and as he goes to the ground, he just pulls him. I mean, kind of a weak call there, but
well, it backs him up to the 39, and Mike Zimmer, his kicker, who missed 2 field goals last week despite a win. Blair Walsh today has missed 1 from 53 and had 1 blocked. And it looks like Jarius Wright is being helped off the field. He was the overtime hero. In fact, that football, he said, I never had the game-winning catch at any level of football. Stepping away. Charles Johnson and Jennings, and Cordero Patterson is coming in for Wright. He's had his problems this season. Patterson has the catch. Darius Slay brings him down right there, and go back to that return. Now, they had kicked off where he was stopped short of the 20, but previously they kicked it through the end zone.
Well, they're not a very good offense when they start inside the 20-yard line, but this guy is so dangerous, Chris. Whenever he gets the ball in his hands, he has the potential to go all the way. He's a great guy with the ball in his hands. You just got to find some creative ways to get him involved on offense.
Mike Zimmer called him into his office this week to have a heart-to-heart talk to him. Pass is high, but Patterson hauls it in. 2 big catches from the second-year player, former first-round pick from Tennessee. And this line is the career mark for Blair Walsh, 56-yard field goal. He's kicked a 55-yarder this year, but has had a rough couple of weeks. On 3rd and 4. Bridgewater rolling and getting rid of it incomplete. It's 4th down.
Well, it's decision time if you're Mike Zimmer.
Well, you got the 2-minute warning still, and you do have 2 timeouts. Do you want your defense on the spot, or do you go for it here?
I think time is working against them here. I think they're going to go for this.
Makes sense.
Try to get this first down. You give the ball back to Detroit, and I just don't think, even with the 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning, that you have enough time to stop them.
Well, Bridgewater has run for first downs today when he's needed it. That red line, again, the mark for the field goal. Looks like they're gonna. You see the 4th down conversion chart for this year. Reset the clock. Still 2 timeouts for Minnesota. All 3 for the Lions, and the 2-minute warning a tick away.
This Detroit Lions defense has carried this team the entire season. I'm sure they want to be in this situation. Game on the line, needing a stop on 4th down. See what Terrell Austin and his unit can come up with against Teddy Bridgewater.
Bridgewater throws incomplete, and there are no flags. He was trying to go again to Cordero Patterson, who came in for Wright and had a couple of catches. What a defensive stop for the Lions. After the 2-minute warning and after the Lions stop Bridgewater on 4th down, they take over at the 45-yard line. Lions with 3 timeouts. The Vikings can only stop the clock twice.
I'm not sure I like that play call there, Chris. It was nowhere for him to throw that ball, and he targeted Cordero Patterson, who's only been in the game for 3 snaps.
Joyce Bell, who has been outstanding today, and Vikings are going to use a timeout. Rondé, it's amazing, and it tells you how different this Lion team is under Jim Caldwell. We know that we said the core of this team, the backbone, the defense, but Stafford came in on a roll. But when you can win a game with Stafford throwing for only 153 yards, if they do indeed hold on to do it, that says a lot about your team trying to get their 10th win. And again, we keep repeating the Packers lost in Buffalo, so they'll take over the top spot in the NFC North if this score holds. Vikings with 1 timeout remaining.
Get any chance. They need a stop here. Clock's going to run out on them if they get a first down.
Bell. Here comes another timeout. Mike Zimmer. And the Vikings are out of timeouts. If you've heard about this new show, Empire, coming in January. Terrence Howard is a hip-hop mogul. If you like high drama and amazing music, you'll like this show. Empire premieres Wednesday. you dance. I read.
You read. Empire.
Wednesday, January 7th on Fox. Set your VCR. You'll see
I can
Ron.
do that.
You'll see Ron. Well, the Lions hope to be doing a victory dance here because this win, if they hold on with that Packer loss, it means that they are guaranteed to at least be playing for a division title week 17. And that's when they go to Lambeau Field against the Pack. Pitch to Bell. And the Vikings will shove him back at midfield. No timeouts, Minnesota. Detroit will let the clock run. Vikings will get the ball back, and Rhodes, who left early and came back, is hurt in severe pain. You saw the Viking player injured and Minnesota out of timeouts under 2 minutes here. They're going to reset the play clock as the officiating crew said and start the clock, let it run, and the Lions are in control of that as opposed to a 10-second runoff on 4th down and 5. As soon as the official gives the signal, they will start the clock. Rhodes was able to walk over to the Viking sideline. And there it goes. And of course, Jim Caldwell wants all of that time to be chewed up. In fact, he can wait till the very last second and then use a timeout. The Lions got the ball back, 3 straight running plays, but couldn't finish it. Had they gotten the first down, it would have been lights out.
Yeah, it wasn't very aggressive play calling there by Joe Lombardi in the offense. 3 running plays. The clock was marginally in their favor, but if they would have converted, their game would have been over. Give some credit to Minnesota. They had to step up and get a stop. 3 straight running plays, and they did. And we talked to earlier in the game. Detroit, when they've needed to run the ball to win out, they've done it. They weren't able to do it on that drive.
So they wait till the very last moment. The Lions use the timeout. 53 seconds, then they'll kick it away. The OT coming up with all the highlights, and they'll have the updated playoff scenarios with still some games tonight and Monday night. If the Lions do win, they clinch a playoff berth with a win at Chicago next week, as long as Dallas and Philadelphia do not tie tonight. But still time for Teddy Bridgewater, because all the Vikings need is a field goal. No timeouts.
The offense was so good early in the football game, but the Detroit defense really bared its teeth here towards the end of the second quarter in this entire half.
Sam Martin with a high kick. Charles goes out of bounds. 45 seconds. And a flag down. Well, if this is on.
Illegal formation. Kicking team was not set. The 5-yard penalty be added to the end of the kick. First down.
A rough penalty for the Lions after especially a timeout and a chance to think about that. Scott Turner smiling in the ear of his rookie.
We've talked about his development the entire game and how far he's come in his 10 starts this season. He's got an opportunity here.
And you see that red line again. We
only have to get down to the 38-yard line for Blair Walsh's career long. But again, I'll mention it. This Detroit Lions defense, the pulse and the heart of this unit, they're going to come up big here and get a stop in an important game for this team.
Bridgewater with no timeouts. High and overthrows Jarius Wright. 40 seconds remain.
He was so on early in the game, and really since those 2 interceptions, he's just been off the mark.
North Turner calling the plays again for his young quarterback. And Blair Walsh with a missed 53-yarder today and a blocked kick in this game. Jason Jones batted it away. Bridgewater floats it for Matt Asiata, who falls down short of the first down. And remember, with no timeouts, Mike Zimmer wants him to spike it here. But then it's going to be 4th down.
Why did he not just
get out of bounds or let it go?
Take that first down yardage there.
20 seconds remain. Now 4th down and 1. Expanded coverage on the NFL on Fox coming up after this game. Seattle trying to win its 10th game, just like these Lions are. They have a 10-point lead at home against the 49ers with 4 minutes left. 49ers would be eliminated from playoff contention.
Well, Minnesota needs a completion here to the sideline. Anything in the middle of the field, and I think they're in trouble. But he can't throw the ball away on 4th down.
2-point Lions lead. 4th and 1 for the Vikings. Pass is caught for a first down by Kyle Rudolph, and the clock runs. 9 seconds. 8. 7. Down to 5.
That operation took way too long to get that spike down.
Now, even if you complete something, you may not have time to get the field goal unit out.
You know what? Detroit will go into their...
Look at how far everybody's dropping back.
To their prevent type defense. Calvin Johnson comes into the game to be the back guy. You know, if this is a Hail Mary situation, Teddy doesn't have that type of arm to throw it this far.
If you're the Lions, you don't want pass interference because that gives you the opportunity. Look at the play clock here. They're going to be penalized, and they can't use a timeout. Five seconds remain. The offensive coordinator frustrated for the Vikings. It would have been a different game had Blair Walsh been able to make
chip shot field goal.
One of his 2 field goals.
Yeah, chip shot field goal that Jason Jones blocked. It's going to be the difference in this game unless something magical happens here.
The pass is caught by Rudolph. The clock is ticking. Is there 1 second left? No. In Detroit, it's about the defense. 1 second, says Pete Morelli. Let's check.
1 second on the play clock. Reset the game clock to 1 second.
And they keep an eye on the clock. This is not reviewable, but the officials keep their own time as well.
Yeah, that's right. There's 1 second. He's clearly out before that 1 second clicked off.
One more play.
And Blair Walsh, we're going to see.
Now, this is a 68-yard try. Now, I mentioned in the pregame warm-ups earlier today, of course, you don't have the rush, but this is from 70 yards. And he made it. But Jason Jones blocked his chip shot field goal, and then he missed from 53 earlier. This will be 68 yards. The kick.
Short.
And the Lions get win number 10. The Lions in first place in the NFC North Division. The Lions defense does its job. And after trailing 14-0, the Lions rally to win